Hello and welcome to lesson 2 of week 14. In this lesson, we're going to look at object methods and inheritance in Python. My name is Mildred. In the last lesson, we looked at object-oriented programming in general, and we looked at how to create classes and to instantiate a class or create object of a class. We created this class called students and we created several student objects with the properties that we have defined for the class. Now, methods are functions that belong to an object. Let's say we want to have a method for this class student and we want to define a method that's, let's say, greet, for instance. This is not a real life example. We just want to do something. So let's say greet. We want to use this method to say print out hello, my name is something. So we're going to put the self here. Now recall that in the last lesson we said that self is just like this in JavaScript, and we discussed what self is. The name must not be self. You can use any name as long as it is the first parameter of the function definition. And so we can use self. I like to use self because self is what you see most of the time. So in order not to confuse yourself, you want to leave it as self. But I can put anything as long as it is the first parameter, it is going to be interpreted the same way. So I'll say self, and what I want to print is hello, my name is self.name. We can call a method within a class by doing something like the object of the class dot the method name. So I can say person1 dot greet like this, or person2 dot greet. Greet, when you call the method of a class, you call it with the parentheses. This method has no argument. We just use self here so that we can use that to define or call the property that we want to use within the print statement in this case. So when we say person1.greet, it says hello, my name is John, because the name of the person is John. Person2.greet, we say hello, my name is Mary, and then person3 printed out like this. Let us look at the concept of inheritance in Python. Inheritance is an object-oriented programming concept, and what inheritance is just defining a class that inherits all the methods and properties of another class. The class that is being inherited from is the parent class, while the new class that inherits from another class is the child class. It's a very simple logic, and what we do is let's create a new class here, and let's say we have this class called for instance, we want to say class person, and let's say person is going to be inheriting from the student class. If we don't want to define new properties and methods for this person class, we just use pass like this, and so it inherits all the method and properties that were previously defined for the student parent class. And what will happen now is, instead of calling students, we can now actually call person. So when we say person, it's still going to print out the same thing. So when I save this, I clear, I'm going to get, let's just greet in only person1, and the rest will print person2, person3. So let's save and run. We still have everything printed because the person class is inheriting from the student class. Now this is one simple way of doing that. We can use the init function to supply properties for this class, which is going to override inherited properties and method, and we can do this in two ways. We can either decide that we want to use the init like this, so I won't use pass, I'll say def and init like this, and then I'm going to provide self, name, age, height, and race. This is going to override the definition of the parent class, and if we don't want to override that, we'll use super like this, init, and then we'll define all of the properties of the parent class. Now take note that when you are calling the parent class init function, you don't put self as the start. You just go with name, age, height, and race, or all the properties that you have in the parent class. You must not use super. You can decide to use the name of the parent class, which is student, instead of super here, but most of the time what you see is super, so it's better we use super here. So this way we keep the properties and the methods of the parent class and not overwrite it by this. And then we can now come here to say, we can define the string representation if we want, and if we don't want, we can just go to say self.name and define what the name is and the likes like the previous one. So once we start software development project, you will begin to understand how this is applied, but this is the basic concepts that you need to understand for you to know how to use this. We have person1 has John 21.5. What if we say we want to change the age, for instance? We can say print, we can say person1.age, we want to change the age now, we'll assign a new value, is equal to, let's say, 50. And when we print person1, we're going to get John 51.8 white rather than getting 20 here, because we've replaced the value or modified the value of person1 like that. If we want to delete a particular property, we can use the del keyword and just say delete person1, and then it will delete and the person1. So we can delete person1.age, and when we try to print person1, we'll get the attribute error. If we want to delete the object itself, person1, we'll delete person1 like this. Let's say for this child class definition, we want to define a new property. So we inherited all of the properties from the parent class using super like this. We want to define this, and we want to say self.name is equal to name, self.age equal to age, self.height equal to height, self.race is equal to race, and then we have a new definition, let's say self.grade, and we want to put grade. So we provide a new grade here, and so let's say this has a grade definition now equal to grade, and so when I clear here now, it is going to print out the grade that I used or that I entered. We don't have this printed out. Remember the way we define this for it to return. Here we say return self.name, age, height, race, and then we'll say return self.grade. Save this, run. We have them all printed. So in its very basic form, this is what we understand by classes and objects and inheritance, and it's something you have to keep playing with to understand it deeply. The concept is simple, but it's very easy not to get the concept. We'll go over it one last time. We'll create a class using the class keyword and a name for the class. We can have two classes where the child class inherits from the parent class. In this case, the new class we define, class person, will have the name of the parent class in its parentheses. We use the init function to be able to define properties for the class, and when we define properties for the class of a child, it is going to override that of the parents, and we can decide to keep that of the parents or inherit that of the parents by using super.init, and then we provide all of the properties from the parent, and then we define them. Self.name, self refers to the current instance of the class, and so we do this like this, and then we can use the child class to access all the method and properties for the parent class. And one of the use of this is to have a parent that has something that is in common and then have different. So we have class person, we can have class teacher that also inherits things from the parents but have new definition of properties that you want to add to teacher. So these are the kind of uses we'll see. So we have like a class called school, and we'll have several classes like student class, admin class, teacher class, all inheriting from the school class. And this is where we end this lesson. In the next lesson, we are going to look at dates, maths, and regular expressions in Python. Thank you, and see you in the next lesson.